Hey, Mystic Michaela spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Today, celebrity aura news. All the pop culture news you've been thinking about, but in aura color. But first, our renowned celebrity fanatic. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. Thank you for that good intro.
You're the renowned celebrity fanatic.
Yes, I've done a lot of work for this episode.
You did, actually.
As I did for the previous pop culture episode.
You did more for this one.
Yeah, I did more for this one.
Yeah.
Because the last time I watched The Secret Mormon, was it Mormon Lives?
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Wives, right.
Was last celebrity.
And it was a truly horrific experience. And
You watched like maybe 10 minutes.
Fine. But it was a lot. It was a long 10 minutes.
Right.
And, I had to, do other things for the show. And
okay.
Yeah, whatever, I had to make that video where I danced in the Nirvana shirt, things like that.
You were very inspired by its horrors.
Yeah, it was horrific. I mean, there was, entertaining moments, if you want to call it that. I don't know. But anyway, so I did watch Love is Blind. I didn't watch the pods because it was putting me to sleep.
Yeah.
It was just so boring.
You're not a pod fan.
And we did watch with, I watched with the fast forward button going most of the time. But, Love is Blind, there were moments. It had moments that
you liked when they lived together.
Yeah, I watched when they lived together.
You liked that a lot.
And it was very interesting. I thought, if you are trying to figure out auras and you're working on figuring out what colors your friends, you could kind of see that in these people. It's easy to kind of spot what their colors are.
Yeah.
If you're not new to this.
Yeah, we're gonna deep dive into all of that. But first, we have to talk about something really sad.
Yeah. So I think you're going to start with Liam Payne of the band One Direction.
That's right. So Liam Payne tragically died. If you don't know, he is a member of the band One Direction. Harry Styles is they all had breakout careers from that band, but Liam Payne, he passed. And you can look into all that yourself. I just wanted to talk about his aura and kind of honor his memory. So Liam Payne, and I got a bunch of pictures, okay, of him throughout the years. And I just wanted to go through his aura. So, like I said, if you don't know, he passed, as of right now, I think it was 2 days ago, through a tragic fall from a third-story balcony at a hotel. All right, so that's basically what happened. And, all right, so let's take a look at him. So he was blue-purple. Blue, we talk about this a lot on here. It is really hard to be a double empath. Okay, blue-purple. It's really hard in our society to be a double empath guy. And I cannot imagine being a double empath / double empath guy in that industry, in that horrific, stressful, anxiety-producing industry when you're already, as a purple, you have increased anxiety, you're not as organized with your thoughts. He's an artist, obviously. He's a beautiful singer. He was part of this band. He's somebody people connect to. That's the purple. He's got that it factor, right? But he's also really blue. So he's sensitive. And he's somebody who feels other people's feelings as his own. He's probably feel like he was really connected to the fans. Like he really wanted to please them. And I feel like above all, he didn't feel good enough. And that's what I get looking at all the pictures from his life. So I grabbed a picture when he was actually in 2010. That's when the band broke out. And if you don't know, I remember watching them on X Factor, actually. So anyway, so he is a kid, but he's 16 here or something. I'll show you the picture, Scott. See?
Okay.
And he's so purple. He's purple blue. And the purple's really sparkly. And it's okay, what do we need? Let's go. Lots of energy. So now all that anxious, and he actually shared with everybody before he passed, he was diagnosed with ADHD. And I feel like he was very open about his mental health struggles and whatnot. Anyways, sometimes that's just also a lot of purple. And this kid has a lot of purple. And sometimes I look at a kid, because I used to be a teacher, and the way I used to look at students, looking at this kid, super artistic, probably couldn't sit still. You could talk to him all day, a million ideas. He just needs somebody to organize him. He just needs somebody to support him. He just needs somebody to love him. He just needs somebody to give him a context so he can be safe and express himself, which maybe he found for a little bit in the band. But as we all know, just the more we see, that industry is disgusting. And I feel like it just got too much for him. Then he broke out, and he had one album, I guess, and he actually recently released a single in 23. But looking at him in a picture from 2019, the blue's up. So, by the way, he's a father and it's all this stuff going on. Anyways, a lot of blue. So I feel like he had a lot of awareness, like there's something wrong with me. I have to stabilize myself. What's going on? I feel like he never felt like he could balance himself. He never felt like he could figure out. If you've ever loved somebody, immediately when I see him as a kid, by the way, I'd be worried about addiction issues in the future. That's like the first thing. Like if I was reading his mom, I'd be like, yo, you got to watch him self-medicating. You got to watch him. You got to watch that, because, and then you plop him in this industry where self-medication is like normalized and boom, we have a recipe for full-blown addiction. And if you've ever loved somebody who's an addict, you get it. Like, this is not something you can beat. This is a true illness. This is a sickness. It's not something anybody can do for you, other than you seeking help in the right places and getting it done. But it's hard. And I feel like he struggled with not being able to get well. And I feel like he took all that on himself. And I feel like he removed himself from, I mean, I don't know if this is true. This is just what I'm getting. I feel like he felt so unlovable as a person that he would remove himself from people that he loved because he felt like he was hurting them just by existing. And that makes me so sad inside. And then I have a recent picture of him. Well, hold on. I got a picture of him when he was like little. I guess he used to be obsessed with Toy Story. So I have this little picture.
This is kid photo?
This is his photo. He's like 4.
Okay.
And in this picture, I don't know I think a lot of the directioners probably know way more than I do, which is fine. But when I look at him, I just feel like instability in a childhood and a need for stability and just a really sensitive big heart. And thinking he can fix something that he didn't make. So I feel like a lot of issues around him, that he was born into but didn't cause, obviously. But what happens when you're this sensitive? I think all of us listening, sometimes we've been burdened with fixing things that we didn't break. And I feel like he wanted to do that through his success or his career. Oh, this is it. I can make money. I can do this. I can create stability. Now I can have a kid and I can create stability for them. And then, he gets divorced and, there's a separation there. And I feel like it was just all very traumatizing.
And what were his colors in that childhood photo?
As a kid, he's just so blue.
Just blue.
He's 4 in this picture,
okay.
But he's so blue.
So you can't even see another color?
Yeah, he's just such a sensitive little guy. Yeah, and then I saw pictures of him. Maybe he's like 6 or 7. Then you start seeing the purple come in.
Okay.
And again, I feel like this is the type of kid where, and by the way, the blue is like very absorbent of issues, in the body. And I could see him just really getting sick over things and getting upset to the point where he would get sick like that. But as he gets older, then you see the purple start popping in. And then it's like, okay, behavior stuff, maybe a little bit. And I think mostly the kid can't sit down. Honestly, I think that would be the biggest thing.
In all these photos that you've been looking at, have you ever seen a logic color come through?
No.
Never.
He doesn't have one, and that's okay.
Not even wearing one.
Right.
Like he wasn't even able to like put on a red shell at some point or yellow or nothing.
No, but never. His ex-wife Cheryl,
okay.
And I feel like they had a good relationship and they were very nice to each other in the breakup and whatnot. And that's the mother of his son. She's yellow. She's a yellow aura.
Okay.
And I was looking at some other girlfriends in his life and they seemed to kind of be attracted to people with the logic colors or yellows, a lot of yellows. He's probably looking for that stability or that comfort. I got a picture of him. It's just a couple days before he died. And if I saw him, if I saw him and I was like talking to his sibling or his mom or somebody, I'd be like, get him home now. Get this guy home now. Like his aura looks so, because I read people and here's my brother. Oh, immediately it's like, oh, your brother, here's the thing. It's nobody's fault, because I think we all sit there and if I only grabbed him, if I only took him home, if I only do that. I feel like people tried with him. And he was hard to help because he might not have felt worthy of it. But if I saw this picture, I was reading a family member, I'd be like, try right now. Like, try as hard as you can to get him out of his own way. Because ultimately, I feel like his addiction, doesn't matter how it happened, it's the addiction killed him. Like, that's how I feel. And when I connect to his energy, and this is something I've talked about just through mediumship, usually I need like a conduit. Somebody, Liam's mom, or like somebody,
or Cheryl,
right. Like somebody. I need to be reading somebody in order for it to get like very clear for me. That's just how I work. Because why would he talk to me?
Right.
We're strangers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that. But just connecting to his energy, I get confused. Oh no. But also it kind of like a subconscious need to again remove himself from the lives of people because he didn't feel like he was very helpful in his own presence. It's a self-love thing, and it's very, very sad. And the addiction, anytime you have an addiction, it feeds the worst parts of your ego. Like, that's the problem with addiction. Like, whatever your ego tells you, we all have our ego telling us stuff all the time. Like awful things, like every single one of us. It's different for all of us. For him, it was, you're not good enough. You can't fix things. You're a screw up. You suck, like that. And the addiction just fed it and fed it and fed it and fed it and made it reality. So that makes me it's very sad. And I feel terrible for his fans. I feel like he was just a really nice person.
Yeah.
And such a talent and and a father and a kind, loving soul. Harry Styles, by the way, just because everyone's gonna be like, what color is Harry?
Right.
He's this. Okay, so Harry is also, I see more like blue to go on Harry, like the blue indigo with the purple.
Oh,
I know.
So if those two are in a room together, there's probably a lot of tears and crying all the time.
I think that
right?
I mean, I can't imagine, like Harry must be really going through it.
A lot of feelings,
yeah,
a
like
lot of feelings.
To me, Harry's such a sweet, sensitive guy. Probably feels incredible. Like when you know somebody, if you've ever known anybody and this has happened, like you find a quick way to make it your fault somehow. I can see Harry like, oh my gosh, I should know this. I'm sure he's spiraling. Difference is, I feel like Harry has, and I don't know if this is true. You guys will know. I feel like Harry has like a different family support system, maybe a different, he's got more structure around him.
Okay.
Listen, like if I was in this industry, I'd be a freaking mess. Like I can't, like I think if you're double empath in this industry and you're successful and you haven't been too screwed up, it's because you had good people around you and you had people protecting you.
Yeah.
And not that he didn't have people protect him. I think people tried, but that addiction, man, it got in early and it hung in there and it latched on to beliefs that, these already existing sad beliefs that he had about himself. So that's what I get about Liam. And it's just really tragic.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of us are just like,
that's tough.
Horrified. He was only 31.
Yeah.
And the way, and then this is the other thing, like the way he passed, on top of how the media just attached to it like it was a spectacle, I think it triggers a lot of us who've loved people who've had addiction issues, or if we've had our own addiction issues. Because the second somebody with addiction dies in the media, it's like, oh, their fault. Like, it's like they're just nobody, like they're trash. That's what it feels like to me. Anytime somebody passes, if you look at Matthew Perry, or it's like, well, they were using, it's their fault. Not true. This is a disease, So anyway, so I think that triggers a lot of us who've dealt with that in our own lives. And I think every single one of us is such a prevalent disease. Like we think, oh, that reminds me of. So I think that adds to it too. And it's just very, very sad.
Well, thank you for that beautiful aura reading. That was really special. All right, so Liam Payne, there's his aura.
Yes.
What he was all about. All right, we'll take a quick break. Then we're going to go on to someone who's not so loved by the fans.
Yes. Shopping, it's so hard, right? I mean, I really do hate shopping. Even when I can figure out my size, stores never seem to have it in stock. And that horrible dressing room lighting, it feels like a personal attack. I end up just shopping for everyone else in my family, except myself when I go out. Well, shopping and figuring out your style can be overwhelming. When it comes to getting dressed, you may not even know where to start. That's why I love having a Stitch Fix stylist. She really does know what works for me. I get pieces that make me look great. It's a real confidence boost. Recently, I just told her, hey, I need jeans that my teenager won't make fun of me in. And she sent them to me. And I've gotten a lot of compliments from my teenager and lots of other people too. They're real people. And you talk to them and they communicate with you by sending you amazing clothes that you asked for. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/KYA. That's stitchfix.com/KYA. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. All right, so next up we have P. Diddy. I mean, I don't even like putting his name on this show.
Know.
He's disgusting.
I'm going to have a hard time. I can't put his picture up.
No. I mean, just the word gross. I can't, when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I know. You tap out.
I tap out. first of all, I'm not psychic, and I knew that these people with this much wealth and, like him,
Influence.
they do an influence, and they're doing stuff. You can just tell they're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, finally it is good that he got caught, whatever. And I'm sure there's like a whole
tip of the iceberg.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Names are going to drop here, but all right, you're going to get into this one.
I think it's important to talk about it in aura color because like these people exist, and some of them too. They just don't have the money and influence Sean Combs has.
Right.
Like, these people. Like, they're your neighbors. They're people just hang out. Like, them. So I think it's good to talk about it in aura color. And yeah, if you've been sticking around our podcast for a while, we don't like to go dark.
Right.
We really, really try not to on here. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty details. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole because that's everywhere. That is everywhere. And you can do that as much as you want, but I'm going to talk about it in aura. Okay. So real quick, if you don't know P. Diddy or Sean Combs, basically as of right now, allegedly abused. I mean, there's like 160 people. There could be more. I don't know all the details. Have come forward. Half men, half women. A bunch of them minors at the time have come through and said that he allegedly did all these things to him. Okay. And here's my let's start with auras aren't excuses, but they do explain behavior. Always remember that. And intentions are not auras. So when I talk about this person's aura colors, I'm not saying that that's what that aura does. Intention is something that we all have in control. Auras just kind of show you how it works, how you're going to work it. So Sean Combs has a green-purple aura. Here's the deal with green-purples. They're good at stuff. They're good at 3D world. They're good at like creating systems, and they're good at making people feel connected to the system. So they're green. So Sean's green. So he was systems, albums, all the ways he was making money, structures, making people famous, creating his own basically world and pyramid of this. Okay. Because he's green, and greens are good at systems. His medium for creating a system is people, because he's purple. He's intuitive. He's creative, obviously, with the songs and the artists and the knowing talent and stuff. Sure. All those, we can't take that away from him. That's what but his intention is to have power and to control and to be at the top and to feel people squirm. I feel like this was his source of power when he made people, and he could tell with his he's an intuitive guy. So I know what I'm doing. You want this. I'm going to do this. This keeps you quiet. This keeps you silent. This keeps you wanting to be here. This keeps you contributing to my system that I've created myself. He's not the first guy to do this. There's so many.
So here's my question. There's a lot of green purples out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great green purples out
yeah.
there. What is in this guy's aura? What is in his green purple aura?
Yeah.
That is so freaking disturbing.
It's not his aura.
But
that's just how.
What's in his makeup then?
That's in his soul.
What makes him so, like, that's the question. Like, and you can ask this for other people in in history. I've always asked this question about some of the leadership and the dictators that have ruled. But what is in this person? Like, where is he so broken that he needs to do this or something? You know what I mean?
I was looking at his picture when he was a kid. I mean,
just from an energetic standpoint.
I feel like with these narcissists, sociopaths, whatever you want to call, I don't know what I'm not diagnosing.
Right.
There's something off with him.
But yeah.
What if that, now this is where, what if humans have a choice? What if we all have a choice and a switch gets flipped at some point? Like, for survival, I got to be this way. And I feel like that might have gotten switched at some point early on. He had a real awful upbringing. Now, there's a ton of people who've had even worse upbringings than him, and they're the greatest people. But I feel like, and like I said, some of these people too. Some people flip a switch and they have an ability to rationalize their behavior and feel superior and feel better than and feel like on top. And I feel it is 100% plug in to 3D systems and beliefs and power structure. So they aren't thinking about soul or purpose or giving back. They're thinking of themselves, and their only need, the food they eat is other people's worshiping, fear, attention. Like, that's the food they eat. Like, when you plug into 3D, the food you eat is attention and this kind of behavior around you, power. So 3D thinks you have to feel that environmentally. So you constantly have to curate it with these parties he was having, or the abuse he was doing, or the issues. You have to create that. And if you know somebody like this, a narcissist, for example, they're doing it to you too. They're saying nasty things to you, seeing what you say. They're planning a party. They're not inviting. They're sending flying monkeys at you. They're seeing how you react. So they need to constantly create situations so they can eat your attention. So when you plug more into the 5D, which is I think most people try to do, you're taking it from, okay, I'm giving back. I see, I'm going to take my, or you build, you're starting to build it from within. Like, I'm connected to that which is greater than me. So now I'm fueling off that, or I'm fueling off of, I went to yoga class today. I really centered myself. I'm fueling off that. I helped my neighbor do something and they're doing better now. They're paying it forward. I'm fueling off that. So that's more 5D fuel, but some people plug into only 3D fuel. So there you go.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. It does.
So, but he's green purple, so he's just like really good at it. And there's a gazillion green purples more than him who are changing the world and doing amazing things. And usually they're like, usually when I see green purples, they're in charge of changing our systems with bettering the environment, or, they're doing really cool things in the art industry and making beautiful art for people. They're doing other things. It's not this. Okay. Anyhow, so he created this system of power. And I think with him, the control, the manipulation, he's even, I think just the most recent headline I saw is his lawyers are asking to publicly identify accusers. That's him just being, again, that the purple part, the way that his intention is to fear and manipulate and shame. Oh, here, call them out. So everybody knows, that deters them. Because a lot of people can't take it. They can't take the scrutiny, and they don't want to. So they'd rather just, hey, I lived with this trauma this long. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Like that. He knows this about people. He's very attuned. So anyways, that's him, and that's his aura, and that's what's going on. And I don't know if I missed anything there, but if we're talking about Sean Combs, we have to talk about Justin Bieber. Okay, and this is really, really, really triggering. It's really sad. So I think so Justin Bieber's green purple too. He wears a lot of blue. Here's my thing. I was talking about this with my friend the other day, actually, about this in aura color. I think when you're abused really young, you push it aside. You're young, you move it somewhere. If anybody who's suffered trauma in their early years, you move it somewhere, you put it somewhere, Then you get older. Then you have a baby. Then all of a sudden you're like, what just freaking happened to me? Like, you start seeing it with a different lens because you're not in that space anymore. I feel like that happened to Justin. He wears a lot of blue. It explains a lot of behavior, why he kind of, moves a little. He went through that whole breakdown. We all publicly saw, everyone's like, he's just rich. He's too rich, and he, dresses like a child. And my big thing was when I saw he had a health trauma, and he had a health thing. Half his face, I think, froze, or he had some sort of palsy issue. I'm not quite sure what the diagnosis was, but my whole thing, that's trauma. That's stress. Like, that is like, what happened to you? He's totally retreated. I know Hailey Bieber gets a lot of crap. She's yellow purple. That's probably why. I think she honestly has helped him a lot. I feel like she has helped him. She's structured him. She's protected him. And that's why she's not upset when, like, she shows up. I remember she showed up at some sort of launch she had, and she was all dressed up, and he was dressed all slumpy. She doesn't get mad. You can't get mad at somebody when you know what they've gone through and how they're trying. They just had a baby. You know what I mean? This is what I'm worried about moving forward with Justin. Narcissists, if that's what Sean is, make you complicit in their abuse. This is what I'm worried about actually coming out. I feel like what's interesting is a lot of these people who we don't, God knows what's going to come out. I feel like a lot of these people are being quiet right now because when Sean got you to do stuff, he got you to be complicit in something bad too. So I wonder if like you're there and you know you're of age, but you're watching things happen to people who aren't, or you're watching the things happen to people who are unconscious, or you never said anything, but you saw it all. And that's what narcissists do. They make you complicit. If you know a narcissist in your life, they've done that to you too. Like we're all of a sudden like, oh my God, you know, my mom had me go after my sister. And now I realize I was a flying monkey. She made me complicit. Now that's like low level, like my comparison to this, obviously. Because I feel like Sean Combs was having people be complicit in watching and witnessing abuse and not reporting it. So that's my concern too with Justin. Like God knows what the kid saw, and he wasn't a kid, but he was in that mental state and he didn't know what to do, and it's his whole career. And so I can see that just being really confusing and upsetting and stressful for him. And that's why a lot of them aren't talking. Like, I think Sean Combs was smart enough to make a lot of these people who were around who could tell on him, well, I could tell on you too, because I made sure you did things that I could also tell on. So keep your mouth shut. That's what I think. It's really screwed up.
Yeah, it's just screwed up.
And everybody's been asking me to talk about it, so there it is. And
Ugh.
It's really not any news. It's just that it's just interesting to see. And what's sad with me is like when you hurt, like I feel like Justin Bieber and a lot of people were hurt by Sean Combs in a lot of different ways. Like you really gut punch their potential, you know, Justin Bieber's an authentically talented person, and he did get the fame and he did get the money and he did get he got it, he's there, but what's it worth?
What's the price?
What's the price? Because he's not really creating right now. Right. He's not creating. I feel like it just got killed in him somewhere, and then it got punched his potential. And that's really sad to me.
That is sad.
Poor kid.
All right. Well, hopefully this person gets everything, thrown at him.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, there seems to be a lot of evidence.
I think that's set.
Hopefully justice will definitely be served for all these victims of him. But all right, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but we're going to actually raise the vibe a little bit and talk about Love is Blind next.
This episode of Know Your Aura is brought to you by Wild Grain. Fall is here. The temperatures are dropping. It's time to start making delicious homemade favorites. Wild Grain is here to help you warm up your house with sourdough breads, fresh pastas, and artisanal pastries, including a wide array of seasonal offerings. Rumor has it, they'll have a small number of apple cider donuts. So get them before they sell out. They make it so easy by doing all the hard work for you. If you're not familiar with Wild Grain, it is the first bake from frozen subscription box for artisanal breads, pastries, and pastas. Wild Grain's boxes are fully customizable to your tastes and dietary restrictions. In addition to their classic variety box, they recently launched a new gluten-free box and a plant-based box that is 100% vegan. Best of all, they take the hassle out of baking, since all items bake from frozen in 25 minutes or less with no mess or cleanup. Hey, Scotty, what do you think?
Hey, guys. Well, I've already hidden the apple cider donuts. Nobody knows where they are.
I've been looking for those.
I will give them out sparingly because most of them are for me. But I love it all. You know that. I love the croissants. I love all the breads, pasta, everything. There's nothing that Wild Grain doesn't makes that I don't like.
That's true. Are you ready to bring all your favorite carbs right to your doorstep?
Yes,
Be sure to check out Wild Grain so you can begin building your own box of artisanal breads, pastas, and pastries for a limited time. Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off the first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/KYA to start your subscription. You heard me. Free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/KYA. That's wildgrain.com/KYA, or you can use promo code KYA at checkout. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. All right. So we're going to take on this fascinating show, Love is Blind. We're going to do it in a couple parts. The first part, we're just going to kind of introduce the couples and their colors.
Okay.
And, before I start, I only watched, part of this season, and I did watch last year a small percentage of the show,
Mhm.
but I didn't watch seasons 1 through 5. Here's the question for you.
Yeah.
Does anyone like? I have a lot of trouble right now remembering who these people are.
I know.
Does anyone remember like a contestant from season 2 or a couple from season 4? I'm sure there's like standouts, like the one that said she was Megan Fox last year.
Right.
But like, I really am curious. Do people remember any of these people?
People do.
They do?
No, they do. And I don't either. Like,
Do you?
They slip my mind.
Yeah.
But once I see their picture, I'm like, oh yeah.
Like that one?
It'll remind me or
Yeah.
jog my memory. But I can't. I'm really bad with names or recall and stuff like that. But I was on your mom and dad podcast, and it's a husband-wife duo, and Jess Ambrose, she knows everybody, and she remembers, because I was like, I'm like, who's that one from Say That? And she knew immediately, and she knows all the Bachelor people too, and Bachelorette people.
Really?
Like contestants.
Like you're like season 14 of The Bachelor,
Yeah.
Ashley W.
Seriously, she would know, and she'd understand like the major plot points or something,
Wow.
like immediately.
All right.
So some people do, and I think they're trying to build like a Love Is, how they have Bachelor Nation. I think they're trying to build a Love Is Blind Nation. I noticed that at the reunion for the season 6 reunion. I wonder if they'll do the season 7 reunion where they have like couples from the past showing up.
Okay.
They're trying.
Create a little nostalgia.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take the first couple. We'll do them in couple.
All right.
Or whatever.
Sure.
Couples. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. We have Hannah and Nick. What color is Hannah and what color is Nick?
Hannah's yellow, purple.
Okay.
And Nick is a tricolor. They do have interesting aura combos in the show. I'll give them that. Blue, purple, and red.
Blue, purple, red. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I was guessing, because again, I don't see the colors, I'm just going by, the characteristics, the traits, and what I see. I would have said definitely Hannah yellow. I mean, all she talked about was cleaning and getting on Nick for not cleaning. And she journaled everything and she wrote everything down and everything seemed to be in order.
Her
lists. She had her lists, right? She had all these lists.
This is everything that's wrong with you.
Right. And, she was very like upset by his, I guess, messiness or whatever, or lack of the ability to understand things like that. So I would have definitely said the yellow for her. And then for Nick, I probably, I would never have said the red. I would have just said this deep, deep, deep blue.
Yeah.
Like kind of like punching bag blue or something. Like he just seemed like a punching bag.
That's funny.
On the show.
Punching
Is that a
bag
new one?
blue?
Punching
Yeah,
bag
you made
blue?
that. That's
he just seemed like Eeyore on the show. And like,
yes.
But again, I don't know. It's just an edit of a person. I don't know him in real life. So I would have said blue, but all right.
I'll talk about that when we get to the next segment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the next couple, they did not make it to, what do we call these, hometowns? I don't know. What do you call-
Mexico.
Mexico.
They didn't make it to Mexico.
And living with each other.
Right.
The whole, like meeting the parents. They didn't
right
make it to
after
any of that stuff.
the initial meet, they stopped filming with them.
Okay. So we have Brittany
Yeah.
and Leo.
Okay. Brittany is pink and yellow.
Okay.
And Leo is purple, green, and blue.
Purple, green, and blue. I am looking at Leo's picture and I do not recall seeing him, so I don't know anything about him.
Because you didn't like the pods.
Yeah. And I do remember Brittany because she did seem pink.
You saw their meeting, remember when they met?
Yeah, when they met.
And it reminded me of like when I'm holding one of the cats.
Yes.
And the cat's like, can you stop? And I'm like, I love you.
Yeah. Leo,
Brittany was trying to get away. She's like, okay.
Yes. I do recall like Leo just wanting to like eat her.
Yeah. It was
just suck her into his like body.
It was like when I hold the cats. That's what I was like.
Yeah. And Brittany, so you said she was pink. Yeah, that made sense. And she kind of was a little bit not into that. So she didn't see, her energy didn't seem as like, I don't want to really be eaten by you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay. All right. All right. Next up, we have Monica and Steven.
Kinky Steven.
Yes, I do recall this guy because he almost made me throw up.
Okay.
By tuna fish.
Ew.
Yeah. Think about that for a second.
Okay.
The listeners are probably throwing up now.
Monica is yellow purple and Steven's green blue.
Okay.
But he's really, really blue.
He's really, really blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch, I'll be honest, I fast forwarded through most of their interaction with each other. He just seemed like a creepy to me.
Well, by the way, lots of spoiler alerts, you guys. So don't if you haven't finished.
Yeah.
And we're up to like where we are in time. We haven't seen the weddings yet. There's a wedding episode left. It hasn't aired yet, and the reunion hasn't aired.
Yeah, there's
just
two
so
episodes. I noticed one airs on the 23rd of October.
Right, we're not there
and
yet.
October 30th. We did not watch those two.
Right.
All
okay.
right.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Alex and Tim.
Yeah. Tim's great.
Okay.
The way Tim just... Okay. Tim is yellow-blue.
Okay.
And Alex is purple-blue.
Okay. And I didn't know what color Tim was until he got into a fight with Alex at one point in the show. Again, they're spoilers. And he just said, I am done with you.
Yep.
And he walked out the door, and I'm sitting there with my popcorn, and I'm going, yell no.
He did a yell no.
He did a yell no.
But also just seeing their apartments.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like
yeah.
hers
and his
was purple.
No, yeah.
And his was yellow.
Some of my moderators and some of our yellows and in the group would have looked at her apartment and had a heart attack.
Yeah.
So I knew she was purple blue. Right. I knew that one like as clear as day. I might as well have been able to see the aura with Alex. She was definitely purple blue.
Right.
And the Tim guy was definitely the yellow. And I could have told them like from the start, like, you guys just don't even put.
You're too
don't
young.
Don't even try this.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. All right. Next couple, we have Ashley and Tyler.
Tyler, yeah, that's a whole thing. Well,
Okay.
Before we get into that, Ashley's red purple.
Okay.
And Tyler's red blue, which I think is interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I fast forwarded through them.
Yeah.
So I would not have been able to guess.
Okay.
All right.
We will get to their dramas in the next section.
Yeah. Again, I was limited in my time.
Right.
Like, the show was like hours long.
Yeah. You like the Hannah and Nick stuff.
Yeah. I liked Hannah and Nick.
And Marissa and Ramses.
Ramses or whatever his name. Ramses is. He is a treat.
We'll get there.
All right. Next we have Taylor and Garrett.
Two greens.
Yes. And that was when they talk to each other. That is clear as day. That is a green talking to a green.
It's a green romance.
Yes, it is a green romance. It is very systematic. When they were in there, they got into a fight about like text messages.
Right.
And it was the greenest fight I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh my God, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about that.
But Taylor's green indigo.
Yes.
And Garrett's green blue.
Okay. So she's green indigo, green blue. They're pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
Maybe they made it. All right.
Okay.
I have no idea. All right. Marissa, and I apologize if I say his name wrong. Is it
Okay, so you want to say, because you're a history teacher, you want to say Ramses.
Right, I do want to say the Egyptian. And he might think of himself as an Egyptian prince.
So Ram is the appropriate first part, but it says after. So it's Ramses.
Not Ramses?
Just say it like that.
Okay, Ramses and Marissa.
Yes.
Okay.
They're two turquoise met, basically. So Marissa is green and turquoise and purple. And then Ramses is indigo. This is a combo. And I'll give this to Love is Blind. They find interesting men. Okay. Indigo, turquoise, purple. I see all those colors on him.
Okay.
In all sorts of weird amounts.
Yeah. And I actually guessed, when I was doing it, I guessed turquoise with him. And I didn't know the other colors, but I knew that there was absolutely no logic color in there because he says things without any logic whatsoever.
Yeah, we'll get there.
And I picked up that he had no logic color. And then I knew Marissa, I believe she also seemed a little bit, but I thought there was some logic in there.
Yeah.
She had some logic in there and reasoning.
Yeah.
And there's, I guess, the green. All right. And then the last one, he's on his own. He's not coupled with anybody.
Right.
Poor Bodan?
Poor
Bodan.
Poor Bodan. Because he was Marissa's second choice, but
all right, so
he's red blue.
All right, we're throwing Bodan in there.
Well, we don't have to talk about him.
The poor red blue single guy. All right.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, quick break, and then we're coming back with the drama from Love is Blind.
I love my cats. I mean, they're my furry children. They bring me so much joy, and when they're having problems, that just breaks my heart. My cat Dusty, who was throwing up all the time before using Smalls. I mean, does your cat ever have digestive issues? We've all been there. You need to check out our next sponsor, Smalls. They've helped me a lot. This podcast is sponsored by Smalls. If you're a listener of the show, you know that my cat can't live without Smalls. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients you'd find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. That's why Cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food. My cat's lined up 7 a.m. waiting for their Smalls like they always do. They prefer Smalls way more than their previous cat food. I was just giving them dry food. I didn't know any better. But when you think about it, cats need variety just like we do. And now they just would never be switched from Smalls. Plus, Smalls works with Humane Society. They've donated over $1 million worth of food to help cats. So give your cat the gift of great cat food this holiday season. Head to smalls.com/KYA. Use promo code KYA at checkout for 50% off your first order. One last time, that's promo code KYA for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. All right. So part 2, now we're going to take the couples. We're not going to do them in the same order that we did them in part 1. We're just going to.
How organized we are.
We're going to, yeah. It's
Everybody stop for a second.
Yes.
Aren't you proud of us?
Do you see an inauthentic yellow around me?
Do you see one on me?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah. See?
So, yes.
You too.
Yes.
I'm really proud of us. We're being inauthentic yellow today.
Just don't demean me like Hannah.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So, because I don't want to be punch bag blue.
Yeah.
All right. First, we're going to take the couple that did not make it to hometowns, that didn't meet the family, they didn't get married, they just left the show for whatever reason. The producer said, enough with you two.
Right.
Brittany and Leo.
So Brittany, again, she's yellow pink. All right. So I think what happened was pinks do this thing. It's called the pink joy bubble. And she was in there. And she's like, okay, he's an art dealer. He's going to take me to Miami. He's rich. He says how beautiful I am. He hasn't even met me. This must be perfect. This must be great. He's such a smooth talker. This is amazing. Okay, I'm in my pink joy bubble. Everything's happening. I see him. Holy crap. What did I do? The pink joy bubble. And we all saw it just like burst. Her yellow is just like, girl, no. The pink's like, but can I get that Miami trip? And then the yellow is like, fine. And then like the pink and the yellow and her aura shook hands. And then they went on a Miami trip and then broke up. Okay. So that's what happened. That's basically what I think happened there. Leo, everyone's like, is he chameleon green? Yeah, he is. All right, so back to chameleon green. I forget what episode that was. I talked all about it. Doesn't mean you're green. It's kind of like, I should just call it chameleon color. Like he's green, but he wears it. But I think he just wishes he was. You know, if you saw him, he changed his story to whoever he was talking to. Like the second Hannah said, because he was actually I think one of his first, he wasn't sure which his first, he was all chameleon-y in the pods too.
Right.
But the second Hannah dumped him in the pods, he was like, well, I didn't like you anyway. You know, like you could tell. It's like, yes, you did. You know, and he was like, here's my Rolex, look at me. Do you see, you know, chameleons are really big on other people's interpretations of them, fuel their own ego. So I think that's anyways, but he's kind of harmless because there is a spectrum of the chameleon. And to me, he's like, whatever, you know,
okay,
it's fine.
And here's my take on them too. I feel they went to Mexico.
They didn't go to Mexico. They went to Miami.
Oh, Miami. Okay. They went to Miami.
He took her to Miami.
All right. He took her to, oh, forget it then. Okay. He took her to Miami, tried to eat her and morph into her body.
Right.
And then she just, the pink took over and said, you know, it's enough.
She yelled-noed it.
Yeah, I
think is what happened.
Oh, yeah, the yellow took over and she yelled-noed it.
Yeah.
And she said, stop licking my armpit and
Ew.
get out of here.
All right. He's not Steven.
Oh, that's true.
You know, everybody always wants to keep a pink. Like pink pets.
That's what he seemed like.
And he wanted to keep a pink pet. But pinks don't like that. They're like, no. Like, they could play for a while, and then they're like, okay.
All right. Well, all right. So we
they were interesting.
They were interesting. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of Steven, who, also was trying to lick Monica, I guess. And he was saying some weird things. Yes. As weird as I'm saying right now, even.
Yes.
So let's take Monica and Steven.
So Monica's yellow, purple, and then Steven's green, blue. Okay, so here's the thing. Again, this doesn't mean it's necessarily a green thing, but greens can get very fixated on things. And if they just fixate that in the Jumanji department,
right,
they can get a little freaky. Okay. And I think that Steven, and a lot of red flags, like the way he was talking about that part of their relationship. I'm trying to keep it PG, you guys. The way he was talking about that kind of stuff was a little intense to me. Even Monica was saying, like, the way, if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. There was a lot of like, ew, like I just met you moments. But then, well, maybe he's just into me, or maybe he's just excitable, or maybe he's just a guy, or like that. Like, okay, you know. Anyways, what happened is Monica loves her telling people what to do. She's like, okay, you know, she's got the yellow purple going too. So she's like, bring me my slippers. Do this for me. Do that for me. Do this, babe. Do this. Give me a massage. Do. Like, so she was real big on kind of being a little bit dominating personality, like a dom. And I think Steven's he's actually really blue.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's like, oh yeah, okay. Like, I'll be your puppy dog. I'll do this for you. I'll do that for you. I'm going to worship you. I'm going to worship you everywhere. And you know, I'm going to do all these things. You tell me what to do, I'll do them. He was bringing her slippers. He was doing stuff that was like a little bit extra.
Right.
To me, I think he liked that. And she interpreted it as like, oh, he's a great guy, but really you're feeding into something else that's going on. And this is my biggest thing. I don't know if this is true. This is just what I get. And if I was reading her and it was a private reading, this is what I'd say. I'd be like, I feel like you exposing him on camera for being basically like a freak is exactly what his freak wanted. He's like, oh, shame me on TV. Yes.
He didn't seem that embarrassed by it.
He's out there in the media talking about it,
really?
Joking about it. So
he liked it.
He loved it. Like, oh, yes, I get shamed on TV. I'm getting punished. I'm getting yelled at on TV for being a freak. Like, this is great for being kinky, you know, like that. I feel like for him, that was the kink. Being told what to do, being shamed, being dominated, then being on national TV, like exposed. I mean, that's what I think.
All right. So Steven is what we call freak Jumanji Green.
He's not like this. Yes, he shouldn't have been texting someone, I guess. Like, that's bad. I don't think he's like an evil person. I think he's just a freak, man.
He's just a freak.
Yeah.
He's just got some weird, freaky, Jumanji-ish things going on.
Yep.
And
that's what I think.
He is so happy
like
that it came out, is what
breakup
you're
thing,
saying.
like that breakup thing when she was like, and you did this, and you said this, and I did it. I was like, stop it, Monica. Like, stop it. You are just giving him pleasure right now. You are just giving him pleasure. Like, he's going to be thinking about this later, if you know what I mean. Like, stop freaking talking about it. It's actually, this is a boon to him.
Okay. All right. Let's move on from these two. I'm really creeped out now. There are listeners at home that are just taking, you know,
I'm like screaming at the
TV. Most listeners listen in the shower bath, 49%. And now they have to take another shower or bath after this.
I know.
Want to stop this and take a shower or bath. Okay. All right.
Next.
Let's go on to another wonderful couple. Just wonderful person. Hannah and Nick.
Oh, yes.
Who just totally demean this man on TV, on Netflix. Yeah.
Let me start by saying that the Love is Blind casting producers do not understand.
But brilliant.
They're real good at getting talkative guys. You know, and I think it's the nature of the show. You have to get they do get unique auras. What they do on repeat is the yellow, purple villain. And when I was looking at all the people that didn't make it to camera, like to, you know, be in film, like there's disproportionately a lot of yellow purples. I feel like they look for someone who is really easy to get. You know, you throw them a question. They don't even know that they're throwing themselves under the bus or making themselves look bad. They're probably like, and I'm not saying all yellow purples are like this. I'm saying that these are yellow purples who also happen to be not very self-aware.
Right.
And they're coming in like, I'm a strong woman. I'm a tough girl. Like, da-da-da. It's like, no, you're like actually mean to people. That you took it too far. Anyways, that's the first thing I get. Nick. Okay, so you just said like Nick, how could he be red? Because he's red, blue, purple.
Right. I would have thought he was just deep blue.
Right. So sneaky thing I learned about reds on Love is Blind is that they're very concerned with their image. And we're going to see this with Tyler too. They're very concerned with how they look on camera. And it's not that they need to look good or bad. They just want to look the way that they've decided in their head that they want to look. So from the beginning, I even wrote this down because I did all their colors before. Oh my God, like I think it just started.
Yeah.
So
right at the beginning.
Yeah. So I'm on record. I'm like, he's red.
Yep.
And I have it in my notes written even like he doesn't want to look like a jerk on camera. Like this is something I knew about him. And so when she was like kind of going after him, he was like he'd make a joke or he'd just sit there and listen because I feel like part of his game was to take it and make her look bad. Honestly. And maybe not make her look bad, just take it and not look like a bad guy himself.
Yeah.
I feel like. So it's like, no matter what she says, I'm just going to reiterate and I'm going to look like I'm trying. It's kind of like when a teacher tells you something and you're like, okay, you're right. Personal responsibility. And he was never going to like lose it on her. I feel like that was his plan but I don't feel like he wanted to marry her. And I don't feel like he was
No.
going to follow through with it. And I think he's fine that they broke up.
Yeah, I mean, that is the show that got me yelling at the TV.
Yeah.
That is the only one that I kind of got really involved with because, you know, I'm a red, and you just said this comment about, you know, the image, and I can understand that. I think for me too, if I was ever to go on one of these shows, I would try to, you know, maybe put out more of an image than, I don't know, you know,
Yeah.
I would do that too.
You're like, this is my character. Let
Yeah,
me
my
show
character,
you it.
right.
Let me talk about it.
Right. Yeah, I would be like that. The only difference between, I think, me and Nick
Yeah.
is there would be at some point, and again, unless people were constantly reassuring me that this was for the show, just keep doing
Right.
the show. If you do the show, you'll get more of this, you'll get more of that after.
Yeah.
Unless there was that going on, there would be a time where I would just explode.
Right.
Like my red would just boil over, and
Right.
I would just say something nasty to, let's say in this case, at Hannah,
Yeah.
and I would just storm off the set.
Right.
That would have happened.
Yeah.
You know, unless you were like in the background, like, God, just do it for the
Right.
show.
Right.
You know, I would need that reassurance all the time.
It would be hard for you to
It would
keep
be hard
on
for me, and plus my faces would give it away too. I'd probably make too many faces. Like just
Well, that's the thing with Reds. Like, I think
he was kind of deadpan a lot.
he was, but depends on your upbringing, depends on a lot of different factors. And like, I think with Red,
Yeah.
it's not, how do I put it? Like, it's not that he wanted to look good, or it's just he had an idea of how he was going to look. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going to look like I tried. I'm going to look like I gave it my all.
Yeah.
So that was his version of trying to make sure he looked like that. Like, he prioritized that he was looking like he looked like that the whole time. Whereas I feel like if you went on, you'd be like, no, like, it would be worse if I looked like a doormat. I'd rather have screamed at her and left and
Right.
said my piece. Like, that's what I prefer my image to be. So
Okay.
it's just whatever your preferred image is. But I think Hannah, and again, yes, there is an edit for sure.
Yes.
Which we always have to say this. Like,
Yes.
of course there's an edit.
Yeah, of course.
I think she's tough. I feel like if you watch the show, you already know what I'm going to say. Like, she wasn't very nice, and she has a lot of insecurities that she projected onto him. So a lot of things like she was accusing him of, I'm like, that's you, that's you, that's you.
Right.
And also huge chip on her shoulder. I feel like, in terms of, you know, oh, you have parents that care about you. They pay for it. Not that hers don't, but like, you had cushy, you had this, you had this, you had this. So it's almost like you have to suffer now. That's my job, to make you suffer. Or like this, I don't know. What I went through made me a better person, and you didn't, you know. So I feel like a lot of jealousy and projection and insecurity and anger.
I agree. And I'm going to add two things to this, and we'll move on to the next couple. The two things I'm going to add is, one, she was very demeaning to him, making, I think the quote was, I turned you from a boy to a man.
I know. It's like 2 weeks.
And
in 2
then,
weeks.
then she proceeded to, like, at one segment, talk about how horrible he was in the bedroom.
Yes.
I guess he didn't hear, I'm assuming he didn't hear that. Like, right. I don't know that he knew that until it aired. I'm assuming.
That's bad.
But that was pretty.
You know what makes
bad.
it worse? When they were in Mexico, he had a conversation with her, like, I don't want any of information like that out. And they made that was a really important thing, that he told her, please don't share that personal information with the girls about me in that way.
Okay.
And then she knew that she did that.
Yeah. So that was, I think that was like a low point.
That was really nasty. That's a real low point.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm going to say, this is going directly to Nick. Okay. This is for you, Nick. If you ever listen to this episode, she demeaned you for not knowing about stocks. I'm giving you an open invitation. I will teach you everything about stocks, and I will not demean you when I do it. So if you want to learn about stocks, am I kind of demeaning him while I'm doing this?
No.
Oh, okay. So if Nick, you want to learn about stocks, I could teach you about stocks.
Okay.
And then we'll throw it right back in her face when you make your first X amount of money and
Red
crush
aura
it.
win.
Yeah, red auras win. We'll get that red aura going. All
Red
right.
auras win.
All right. All right. Back to our next couple, Alex, purple Alex, and yellow Tim.
These two cracked me up.
They were two different languages,
oh
right?
my God. Like, the second I saw them meet, I was like, they have got to know this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And anyways, Alex, she's purple blue, right? And I feel like, I think what's interesting about both of them is they think that the way that they are is the only way to be, which, okay, yellows do have a tendency to be a little bit worse about that. So when you're sometimes yellows, before you came to MMSF, you might have thought everybody should think like you. You know what I mean? And then get upset when they don't. Tim's very much there. So I think his big thing is, I think, when I cook for your parents, so the reason they broke up is a multitude of things, but then finally his parents came and saw her and she took a nap as soon as the cameras cut. And that was when he was just like, I don't want to see you anymore. And he just walked out. And it was just like kind of like an epic breakup. I was like, wow, okay. But and I think Alex doesn't understand that the way she is the way she should be. And that doesn't mean everybody else has to be like you. So she was just kind of a little sloppy. Not that all purples are, but she was a little extra.
Yeah.
And then she was also a little sloppy with just kind of how she handled things. Or you could tell when you talked to her, she was kind of like, are you awake? Are you paying attention? Are you asleep? Like, are you here? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess for them, and again, it's just edited. I'm just seeing little pieces here.
Right, of course.
But, just to knock Tim a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock you here, Tim. If you're listening, Tim, I'm gonna knock you down here.
He's totally listening.
Yeah. Totally not. You'll know. For him, one of the arguments he had, and again, I don't know if this is it or not, but on the show, he said, my parents came 10 hours to see you, meet you, and then you decided to take a nap.
Yeah.
Now, anyone who speaks indigo blue is going to know after all that, working with the cameras, and I think she said she spoke to them for 4 hours, they might need an hour nap. Yeah. And that's like a normal thing for a blue and indigo. So Tim is really he speaks yellow. I don't know if he speaks any other color. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, and now understanding the colors, I would be like, oh, you want to take an hour break from, I totally get that. You want to take an hour break from my parents?
Yeah.
Totally get it.
Right.
So
you've been trained though.
Yeah, I've been trained. I've been doing this for a while. But
like you understand that Maggie needs her naps here.
Right.
But I will say this. If let's say I was meeting someone's parents for the first time, they drove 10 hours. Their 2 kids, 2 daughters died. His 2 big sisters are dead. This is their only chance at having another, daughter in their life. Someone who Tim's going to marry and be the mother of probably, I think, their only grandchildren. I'm not taking a nap. I'm being honest. Like, if I'm not, I'm taking my Diet Coke and I'm like, okay, what are we doing now? All right, cameras are off. You guys want to watch a movie or what are you doing? I'm not doing that.
All right.
So I think I
get it.
But that's my empath.
I see that too. Yeah.
That's my empath. Yeah. So I think both of their problems were they didn't know there's other ways to think besides their own way of thinking.
Right. And this is again for you, Tim. If you want me to teach you the ways of the blue and indigo,
I don't think he does.
Just let me know.
I think Tim needs another yellow or maybe a green.
Oh. Wow, imagine Tim in another yellow would be like, yellow.
You know me, I love my shows, and I will just load up on these subscriptions and then totally forget about them, or maybe even conveniently forget about them because I don't feel like going through all the loopholes to cancel my subscription. Well, Rocket Money helped me with all of this. Can you name every single subscription you have? I know I can't name all of mine, and I'm not alone. I just learned that over 74% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. With Rocket Money, I don't have to remember every subscription or worry about forgetting any because I can see them all laid out right in front of me. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/KYA. That's rocketmoney.com/KYA. rocketmoney.com/KYA.
All right. Our next is we have 2 greens in a pod.
Oh, yes.
2 greens in a pod. Taylor and Garrett.
2 greens fell in love. Taylor and Garrett. It was funny because the only kind of real fight they had was when I think Garrett got a DM from an ex and he responded. And he responded like, hey, I'm engaged. We can't talk anymore. But Taylor was really upset. And because at first he said, I just liked it. And then later he's like, well, no, I actually responded with words. And then that really screwed her up. But the way they fought was like very green. It was like, that is a fact, not a detail. That is a detail, not a fact. Right. The semantics are like, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, you guys are having like a grammar war. Like they were using such logical, instead of being like, hey, we're getting, this is a very accelerated process and I'm overwhelmed and I'm vulnerable and I'm scared. And like what you just did made me really stressed out. Like instead of talking feelings,
right? They're
like, that is a fact or a detail. Yes. Like they got like real green about it.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And she kind of was like, I will be over this in 4 hours and 32 minutes. If you just can hold out for me being mad at you for 4 hours and 32 minutes, right. Then I will be done with it. But he couldn't even, that's what it was like.
He was like, get over it right now.
Yeah. Because it's done. I need you to get over it in 42 minutes.
Yeah. Like he's like, you should be over it now because I just told you it was a fact, not a detail.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay. So it's just really weirred.
Yeah. It's very strange.
But I think they're fine.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if they made it or not, but hey, 2 greens.
Yeah.
Maybe it worked. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to say, we're going to do Ashley and Tyler, and then we'll do the other one. All right. Ashley and Tyler.
Ashley's red purple, Tyler's red blue. Here's the thing with red purples. They're very loyal to a fault. Okay. So the drama here is Tyler just ran after talking to her parents, after talking about, hey, when do we want to have our first kid? After telling Ashley, I can't wait to be a dad for the first time, tells her, I have 3 kids and says, now his way that there's 2 stories here. Nobody knows what's real. According to Tyler, his lesbian best friends wanted a kid. So he said God told him to give them his sperm. And he did.
Okay.
And so they had like 3 kids.
Okay.
Through this situation. And then I think the couple got divorced or something. I don't quite know. But I do not know. I don't know if he had 1 kid and then they got divorced and then twins showed up, and I don't know how that happened. According to the mom, she says that he's been around. There's pictures of him with the kids at Christmas. He's not just some sperm donor. Like, he's an active part of their life. He calls them, like, the dad. So we don't know what's true.
We don't know.
In aura color, though, okay, they're both red. So I feel like what happens is they both kept saying, we're going to get married. We're going to get through this. We're going to communicate. So sometimes when you're red and you say something's going to happen over and over again, you end up just sticking with it because that's what you said. So it's kind of like a predetermined kind of thing that you're going to do. Like, our agreement is we're going to work through it. Our agreement is this. My agreement is that. Also, like, I think Ashley is, she's red purple and she kind of takes pity on him being a blue. So she's like, oh, he got wrapped up in something. I think there's more behind the scenes with that relationship with Tyler's friend or the mom of his kids or whatever. I think if you were in it, you might be, and you were listening to Tyler's side, you might be like, well, she did this, or she roped him into it, or she's this, or like, you don't know. Like, I can see there being more to the story. I'm not agreeing with it or anything. I just think there's more to the story that might keep Ashley kind of roped in a little bit and being like, well, he didn't exactly lie because this happened, or she was making it hard, so he did. So I think, red purples can be protective. They're, like I said, they're loyal to a fault. They can like ignore things sometimes. I think Tyler is really good at putting on kind of like the pity. He's real good at bringing in the pity. He's got like kind of a puppy dog thing going on. He's well spoken. He can really explain himself well. He can say I was scared. He can be, I was vulnerable. I didn't know what to say. So I feel like she's taking pity on him and like they're working through it, but that's like weird.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing's odd and it doesn't make sense. So I feel like Ashley might know more than we do about it so that it makes a little bit more sense. Plus she might just be a little bit giving him excuses still.
Okay.
That's what I think.
All right.
I think like
I guess we'll find out on that.
Reds are very loyal.
Yeah. All right.
And they don't like to be wrong. So they're like, well, we said we're getting married and I said I liked you and I said I trusted you, so I can't go back on that. It's kind of hard for them to move backwards or be like, oh man, my intuition must be off. Like it'll be hard for them to be like, I was wrong.
Yeah.
So she has to stay right about him. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's like stubborn about being like, ooh, I screwed up.
All right. All right. We got one more couple. And, before we do Marissa and Ramses. Marissa and Ramses. And, I was, in my spare time, I was thinking, as I watched this show, who got the worst edit? Who's like the biggest villain of this season. You know, who's going to come off the worst?
Hannah.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. I'm gonna exclude Tyler.
Okay.
For now, because he could be the worst, depending on that whole kid situation.
How that turns out.
So he actually could be by far and away the worst.
That would be
really
bad.
Like if that's true with the kid, like what the lady was saying about those actually are his kids, and he goes into like the worst of all time.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
you're right.
Yeah, so him I'm going to exclude from this list.
Okay, that's number one.
Okay, so at first, and if you're just watching it, you're going to say Hannah.
Yeah,
I think Hannah. She really demeaned that guy,
yeah.
But. You know what? I'm changing that to she's going to be in my number 2 slot for biggest villain of season 7. And Ramses, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's going to go into the number 1 slot.
Okay.
I think he was the worst. I think he was the biggest villain. But in a kind of sneaky way, he was the worst. All right. So we have Marissa.
Yeah.
And
can you stop?
It's
Ramses.
Mr. R. Mr. R.
Just call him R.
All right. Marissa and R.
Okay.
All right. What's going on there?
You know what? Ramses really pissed me off at the end.
You too?
Yeah. He just started really, it's all about, and from Marissa's point of view, I mean, okay, let's just start from the beginning.
Okay.
We'll start with turquoise.
Okay.
All right. These are 2 turquoises. So that right there is a lot for them. I feel like Ramses, he's very conditioned by what other people think, or what they tell him, or what he feels. I also get that Ramses has had an entire life of, I don't know what it's like to be a turquoise, indigo, purple man / black man, and having to constantly speak up for yourself and take back your own narrative and make sure your feelings are valid and validated and whatnot. So I'll give him that. And especially the turquoises are always like they're interrupted and they're not seen and they're unseen and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like he took it too far with Marissa, because maybe there's a context for that, like at work or with, other types of relationships or whatnot. But with her, he's just like so constant, like needy, like comes across as needy to me and victimized. Like the one scene, she comes out, obviously she didn't want to have a moment with him. Some sort of a Jumanji moment.
Right.
Because she didn't feel good.
Right.
She's like, I'm PMSing. I have a vitamin D deficiency and I don't feel good.
Right.
Which if you're in a relationship with somebody, get over yourself. And he sat there and he's like, I can't live like this. Is this what it's going to be like? And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? You're thinking about yourself right now? When she just took a second. Also, she's green. When greens get overstimulated emotionally, they will put a bit of a wall up. So he can't handle that. So he was saying, you don't let me touch you. Or she'll even say, I need a moment, which is totally fine for her to articulate. I need a moment. It's not personal. Well, he cannot not take it personally. He's like, oh, you, and I don't know. And then he's like, in 10 years, is this what's going to happen?
You know what? It was like, I can't even believe I'm talking about this.
He's so scared of his own feelings.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm talking about this. I don't know who these people are, but yeah, it was like in that moment, he understood why she couldn't.
Yes.
He finally,
he's like, okay,
fine. I understand that. I understand your feelings. But what if this happens in 12 years, 6 days, and 4 hours from now again?
Yeah.
What? Is wrong with you? And here's my problem with this guy. And it kind of the first argument I saw him make was about the military.
Oh, yes.
And that, he's making, and this is the problem with his arguments. And as a red, this is
we
why
got to say what the argument is.
Yeah, I forgot because it made no sense. He really is anti-military,
right?
And she was in the military,
and deployed.
And he was giving an argument about why he doesn't like the military, whatever. Mm-hmm. And whatever. If that's your feeling, fine. You're validated. Great. Yay. But in his logic, and that was just one of his things. Every single thing that he did, even from talking when he was talking about Jumanji without protection,
yes,
and things like that. All his arguments had absolutely no logic to them.
Right.
She's studying, I think, to be a lawyer. She said, or the mom said,
yeah.
She's going to cut through those like myself. I could cut through his arguments, without with basically sleeping. I could be on 1 hour of sleep and cut through
right
Mr. R's arguments,
right?
Because there's no logic to them. There's no reason to them. They don't make any sense other than to his, turquoise aura, I guess.
Yeah, turquoise, indigo, purple.
Yeah, to him it makes sense, but to the logical rest of the world,
yeah,
it makes no sense. the arguments make no sense. And it was just like really bothering me that woman, Marissa, had to deal with these, I don't know, arguments.
He was saying things that were like feelings based.
Right. With no logic.
And it just wasn't true for everybody. He's actually so sensitive. He became kind of rude. That's how I thought. Like it's kind of like everybody thinks it's open-mindedness can kind of take you back to closed-mindedness.
Right.
Like he's so open-minded, then he became closed-minded to other people's stuff.
Right. Like closed-minded to logical reasoning.
To the logical thing, like what worked for her and how she felt about something. So for example, they were talking about having kids. And the pod, she was like, well, I want to wait 3 to 5 years. But now in person, she's 32.
Right.
And I'm sorry, as a woman, logically, if we're getting along, can we make this like 3 years or 2 years? And he just like he can't handle that.
He couldn't even handle it.
He's like, but that you lied to me. Right. And it's like, okay, but this is just common sense. Or, and she's like, I'm not going on birth control.
Right.
So what are we going to do?
Right.
And she's like, I'm not going to end it if we get pregnant. So he was just like, I can't, like, it's like.
Yes, I need my Jumanji to be pleasurable.
Yeah.
And if it's not in 7 years from now, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and to me, it was like you're so open-minded, you became very closed-minded to her needs.
Yes, that's perfectly said.
Yeah, like, or you're so open-minded about a perspective, about the military, you're closed-minded to other people's perspectives.
Yeah.
Like two things can be true.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I feel like with him, he definitely had to stand on his empath energy and prioritize it to get through things. But now he also doesn't have that little part that a lot of us have, which is like, also, there's another way to think as well. And I can let that in and still stay protected. Maybe he doesn't feel like he can stay protected with with other kind of options in there. It's too many feelings for me. I could be friends with Ramses. For sure, but like never be in a house with that guy because I'd be like, okay, I can't. Like you do one thing, like you look at him cross-eyed. He's like, "Are you?" It's like what if he just woke up or something? What if he has teenage girls one day? I mean, they're gonna obliterate him. Just from my own experience,
I can't even think about that.
Just from my own experience.
Well, we covered all the couples. If you hung in there this long,
you really like that show.
Here's my last statement, my closing statement. Yes. I am going to give the casting producers an A+.
Oh, okay.
I feel that they found the perfect people from the green guy with all the fetishes. They know these things before. Yeah. And they know he had a little friend on the side that loved his fetishes, and they'll get her to text him or him. It could have been him. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And they know this. They know that this Tyler guy had kids. X amount of kids. Yeah. They know that Hannah's going to be TV gold with her demeaning personality.
Right.
So and Alex with her bedroom looking the way they probably say, send us pictures of your bedroom. And if she showed that, you're on the show.
You're in.
And we got the perfect people that we're going to try to hook you up with. So I'm going to give the producers of this show, the casting producers, an A+.
All right.
That's what I'm going to end with.
I'm sure it's meaningful to them.
Yes.
All right. Well, this podcast is for you and about you, and we're so glad you spent some time with us today.
Hello, podcast fans. If you're looking for a new podcast, if you enjoy articles, books, pop culture, and hilarity, try listening to the Brain Candy Podcast.
That's right. The Brain Candy Podcast has over 500 episodes of educational hilarity to satiate your learning needs. Just search for the Brain Candy Podcast on your podcast app or click the link in the show notes.